welcome back to another episode of Into the Valley, where today we will be looking back over Charlton's 2-1 defeat at the Valley. Definitely a tale of two halves. Lot of talking points, I think, coming from that game.
Yeah.
Lot of frustrations that come within that. But what was your kind of take on the game?
I think we were really, really poor in that first half. I think we spoke last week about the fans being concerned about the lack of creativity and the sort of negative response to even getting a win. And today was, in the first half especially, did show sort of where that concern sort of was coming from. I think it highlights that part of our game where we're unable to push the ball forwards for big spells of a game as well. It's not just little sort of 10-minute spells. It's for the whole 45. We were really, really struggling to get our foot on the ball and just not even get our foot on the ball, just to play a positive pass and to run into the space and try and break the lines. And I think the only player that tried to do that in that first half was probably Sonny Carey as part of the midfield. Occasionally he went on a couple of little darting runs, and when he did, we actually looked quite good. We actually broke the lines and were maybe looking to create something. Apart from that, it was side to side to side to side to long ball to lose the ball.
I think the concerning part to that is the lack of response to the Sheffield United game. With that being such a criticism, I just found it bizarre that it felt like we picked up where we kind of...
You'd think the players would want to respond. They'd sort of probably have picked up on the slight negativity, and you'd think that they'd really want to make a statement. And I think it just went back to what we were sort of seeing in that Sheffield game, where we were just really devoid of ideas. I think when we look at the lineup that was picked as well, I think you had Anderson and Coventry in there, which when the ball comes out from the back, from the defenders, and they're looking to play the ball into the middle, those two boys are not exactly the most creative in terms of them looking to play the ball forward or run into space. So I think that's where we really struggled. The ball would go into them, and then it would be recycled back to the defence. And it was like that was like how the whole game went in the first half.
And I notice more and more at the moment as well, we have such a severe issue with being so unbelievably slow on the ball as well. And we kind of play it out from the back, play it wide, play it back again. They start pressing up a little bit more. We keep kind of going back, and then it will be a lump up.
Makes it so easy to defend as well.
Unbelievably.
Like Derby, literally, all they had to do was sit back, watch us pass the ball around the back for like 5 minutes, wait till we lump it up the pitch and just header the ball back and win the ball back.
And of that, before we go into the actual game itself, of that starting lineup, what did you think of the general kind of starting line? I mean, I have to admit, I looked at it and I thought, I feel even going into this game, we might have got it wrong.
Yeah.
I felt it was it's showing a hell of a lot of respect, and I think you have got to show respect to Championship teams, but we are also in the Championship now. We're at home, and it felt like we had the two big boys up top. It was very much, it seemed clear that we were going to bypass the midfield, lump it up. I don't think we were effectively particularly pressing today, which I assume is kind of part of a quite critical part of that formation. But I thought it seemed a very negative.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think as well, coming off the back of a good result, not necessarily a good performance, but a good result, we had an opportunity to build on that. Like you said, we're at home. To really go out and sort of attack them and make it really difficult for them. And I think we made it so easy for them in the first half. Like I said, so easy to defend against. Didn't really test them defensively at all in that first half. We did turn it around in the second half, and that was down to changes in the team. And that's really where you probably have to then look at, okay, did Jones get that lineup wrong from the start? And I think there's a big argument for that.
And I think the argument to that for me is yes. Albeit I still think the players have to take responsibility, because let's go into that first half. It was a pretty torrid watch, really. We were slow on the ball. They were dominating. They were playing quick passages of play. I thought Adjamang up top was absolutely bullying us. He's
rinsing us. Good player.
I have to admit, when we played him the first time,
wasn't great, was he?
Well, he seemed quite like a donkey. You know, you could see the threat, and he was a handful. But
today
he's athletic,
brilliant. But
the way he kind of runs past people. He's got okay pace. He's very physical. But my God, we made it kind of easy for them, and I thought the movement, the lack of tracking, the vulnerabilities that we seem to be showing that are so against what made us so good at the beginning of the season, and the bit I can't quite put my finger on, and I think it's probably a mixture of the two. Is it us playing a poorer standard of football at the moment? Or is there an element at the beginning of the season, teams are coming together, they're kind of getting into their rhythm? And I think now you are noticing the teams who maybe have had a poor start are starting to pick up a bit. The quality teams are now in that rhythm of being able to pass the ball around, fitness levels are at their best they're going to be. And it feels like now that's the case. We're really getting caught out. And I think the frustrating thing is that just how we're kind of getting that soft underbelly back, and it's concerning.
I mean, like you said, Agumang was actually very dangerous. He had quick feet as well, so he was quite hard to defend against. I think when he was running up against our defence, we were looking pretty nervy, and I think the goal was very soft. I think we allowed him to just breeze past. I think Coventry tried to get onto him, and then you had Anderson who just literally let him breeze past him.
Criminal defending. You cannot. There wasn't even like a shoulder barge in there. It was just like he looked that way. Anderson went with it, and he just walked.
And then he obviously drilled it across the box, and then Gillespie. I mean, to be fair to him, I'm not sure. I mean, he could have hooked it away maybe if he was a bit more on his toes, but he just sort of let it come off.
I've got a lot of criticism to throw his way today, but I think of all the things, that's the one I'm going to say. It's relatively unlucky. I'm sure in another world you could throw a foot here. In that scenario, you might also lump it into the top of the net as well.
Yeah, true.
I think
I think what the poor bit of defending there was from the players tracking Agumang to get the cross into the box. Once it's drilled across, it's really tough for Gillespie to deal with that, and I think obviously it's end up in the back of the net. But that was already, so we were already one down. After 15-20 minutes, I can't remember when it went in. It was a
17th minute.
17th minute.
And that whole front line were causing us issues. Clark in the middle, I thought, was picking up the ball really well. Brereton Diaz, I thought, was having a really good day. But once again, we were kind of allowing it.
Yeah.
There was the moment where he was played in behind, in on goal.
Yeah.
I don't know what we were doing. It was
we had lead boots on.
And Anderson. Yeah, the tracking. I thought his tracking all day today was pretty poor. The amount of players we were letting run off shoulders, we were making silly mistakes.
We could have conceded there as well,
we could have conceded there. We could have, I mean, I think they were pretty close. Well, Nathan Jones wasn't playing, but Lloyd Jones had the header back, which is a rare mistake for him. But it was just what we were doing. It was just...
There was a lot of sloppiness, a lot of negativity, and I think a lot of lack of ideas in terms of, okay, once we get our foot on the ball, we have no idea what we're going to do. We do have an idea. We're going to pass it back and forward between the defence, play it into the midfield occasionally, who are just going to pop the ball back to the defence because they've got nothing going forwards. And then we'll lump it up to the two big lads up top who will either not get anything on it, get something on it, and just get loose.
But the bizarre thing with that as well, we're playing two strikers of the same calibre, and if you're going to do the lump it approach, I don't really quite understand what the benefit of playing two of them.
People off them.
Well, every single time we were getting a flick on to really nothing.
Dyke was getting a few good flick ons, but then Liebem was nowhere near him because he's not got that pace to sort of run off of people, and it's not really his game, is it, to sort of run off the last man? So yeah, you're right. That really didn't make much sense, and I think we just got it all wrong in that first half. And then we went one down quite quickly, and then second goal was really sucker punch. But
well, let's go. I mean, that moves on. The first half was very much paint the same picture. It needed to come in at half time. It needed to really refresh and rejuvenate. And to be fair, we had the subs come on at half time.
Fuller came on, didn't he?
Yeah, Ibby Fuller came on, and I can't remember who the other one was.
I think Fuller was the only one at the beginning of the first half.
Lloyd Jones came off.
Oh yeah, it was.
So Lloyd Jones came off at half time as well.
Well, he had the injury, didn't he?
Yeah, so he seemed to be carrying an injury. I mean, he's one of our saving graces so far in recent
I did think that as well. I thought once he got off, I'm like, okay, we're going to rely on Gillespie and Burke to sort of mop stuff up, and it's going to be a tough second half. But,
no. Well, that second half, I actually thought we did start the game a little bit better. We were playing around, albeit we're still in that pattern of, and I think this followed through a lot of big parts of the game. Even when we had and held possession more, we're still very side to side, backwards, struggling to know what that next move is. And so many teams we come up against, they run on the counter. You've got overlapping players. You've got this, you've got that. You've got a quick passage that breaks through the midfield, and then you're on the attack. We really, really struggled to do that. And albeit it felt like we were getting on top of the game, and it felt like we were now going to give them a game, unsure on what the result would be. The goal, and it was poor again. I think it's so easy.
We just gave him so much space at the back, and I think this is what I was saying about once Lloyd Jones goes off, all of a sudden you're maybe like letting a few more headers be won by their top men, and then what that does, it creates a bit of fear at the back. Spaces start to open up, and that's exactly what happened. And I think we just got run ragged in the end, and then played through. You could argue Kaminsky could have been quicker off his line, and maybe if he had been quicker off, might have got there. But he didn't. He stayed put, and then that was that, I think.
And I think it is one of his negatives. We know he's quick off his
line. Although
line.
he made a brilliant save from Corey Blackett-Taylor in the first half, and he probably backed himself to do the same again. So he's got that in his locker to make the save. So maybe he thought, I'll stay put and just save.
And to be fair, as the finish goes, there is other worlds where he does
hit
him
straight in the head.
Could easily have gone off to the side or whatever. So
you can't be too critical of the keeper there. That was just the defence, leaving massive holes. And once you're 1-on-1, then likelihood is you're going to concede, and that's what happened, isn't it?
And I think from there, the frustration is we started playing football.
Yeah.
We started being the team that realistically we're wanting to see, the slightly more attacking, slightly quicker passages of play. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect, but I thought that whole second half, the introduction of Ibby Fuller, I thought he was dropping in then. He highlighted the fact that the whole Lyndon Dykes and Leeburn playing as the two target men wasn't working. I was really impressed with him, and even when he wasn't getting on the ball, I thought he was just dropping deep. The amount of times he was actually dropping into that gap, in that first half, the amount of times our centre-backs had the ball, and on the camera watching it on TV, you couldn't see another Charlton player, which meant the only option was to lump it. In that second half, so many times...
He offered himself up,
and then it was almost like a motivation to the team, and then you saw other players, Sonny Carey started dropping a bit deeper, started dropping in pockets, and then we got the confidence to start, rather than lump it, play a pacey ball into that midfield and actually counter off.
That's exactly why in that first half we had nothing, because when the defence were pushing the ball out from the back, we had no one offering himself up in that middle. So then it's like, okay, what are the defence going to do? Eventually they just resort to lumping it up. So like you said, when you get someone like Fuller or Carey dropping a bit, actually receiving the ball and looking to then dribble the ball forwards, they've got that in their locker, we start opening things up, and all of a sudden you open a bit of space and Campbell can run off and all that stuff. So we started to see that, and then I think obviously the goal came from us actually being more aggressive and
fizzing the ball around quickly.
As soon as you start moving the ball quicker, all of a sudden space opens up.
Now the goal itself was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was really lovely. Moving in, passing to Karoy, back to TC. He showed really good strength, really good balance. Caught the ball beautifully. I mean, it was everything we needed in that moment. The goal goes in. We've now got 20 minutes to really... 20 minutes plus extra time, really, to really go at the game. Before we go into those final parts, I think what it does also highlight with TC, and I think it'd be interesting to know what your thoughts are on this. Do you think it's highlighting with TC that we do bring some criticism his way for consistency and this, that, the other, but when we talk about the formation issues within the kind of 3-5-2, whatever we play as a system, it's a very heavily defensive, with TC predominantly playing this left wing back. For me, it does highlight how much I'd love to see TC actually in a formation where he's playing left wing, and we can actually rely on him like that, and actually someone else playing behind TC that he can overlap, take a player off, then he can run in more often, then he can get these shots away more often. We've seen many times where that's a dangerous part of TC's game, and so often we're not doing that.
When he's played at left wing back, he's having to have his mind on defending as well as attacking. He's the sort of player that just needs to focus on getting the ball down, running down the line and doing what he does best, which is cutting inside, and that's how he scored his goal, cutting inside and having a shot. And he does it multiple times in a game, and let's be honest, a lot of the time it is a bit wild and it's not that composed. But that goal just shows he's capable of that sort of finish.
Well, and I also think he's a confidence player. And if you can get that ball into him in the right position, you're not relying on him to be the tracking back. And we can get the ball out quickly, get it to him. When he runs on one-on-one...
He's a great asset.
Yeah, and he beats the man. Okay, the first cross doesn't quite work, but he keeps doing it because he's in the right position all the time. Do we see a slightly different TC? And I am starting to teeter more towards...
I think problem where
the system is really, really hampering his development. And to be fair, you could argue since Jones has come in, he's only ever played striker, which isn't really his position, or this left wing back role.
Yeah, so he's been played out of position wherever he's played. I mean, his best position is off that left side. and cutting in and having the shots that we see him do regularly. And I think over time, like you said, it's like the more he does it, the more likely he is to tuck a few away. But at the moment, he's just not getting those opportunities to do that because we've been so negative. So opening the play up in that second half and seeing him actually open up and take people on and shoot, that's what ultimately ended up getting us a goal back. And then, like you said, we were left with 20 minutes to push on and try and get another. I think we huffed and puffed, but I don't think we then offered much more after that. It was sort of a few pumped up balls.
Well, I think everything that we potentially created, and this goes to the whole game, it was all chuck it in the mixer potentially. And I think we did get close a few times. There were a few moments where 100% the right deflection hits. Like we saw against Norwich, the Makama, where it dropped to him in just the perfect space, and we could have easily.
I think that's what we were banking on in the end, was like something falling to us, I think.
Do you worry as well when we are on top of games as well? It seems like we do have this fierce reliance on that play it out wide, get it to TC, run. And I do worry about how much we do kind of make some attacking runs and actually try and create something different. And I feel like sometimes when we're on top in a game, that's working well. But once the opposition get on top of it, and I felt like they kind of did as it kind of went on, and especially as TC tires, we do then struggle and kind of resort back to the lump it.
Yeah, I think once they start doubling up on TC, for example, and realising that a lot of our attacks come down that side. The ball did get played to Clark quite a few times on the right as well. But
we weren't making the runs, so he'd pick up the ball, and so many times you could almost see him getting visibly frustrated that he wasn't picking up, playing it, then running forward, or vice versa.
Yeah,
and you could see the frustration kind of coming in.
He was then resorting to crossing the ball a bit earlier than he probably have liked because he didn't have much on, and then we're just sort of there having to deal with crosses, which they were dealing with pretty well.
Yeah, he's got quite a good cross on him.
He's not
quite impressed actually with that side of his.
And then when it went to 7 minutes of extra time, I was like, can we? And you're like one of those where can we just put the pressure on and get something?
We kind of, I think personally, we did put a little bit of pressure on, but we played some of it quite silly.
So many silly fouls in that.
Ramsey was really guilty, and I know he's
giving away silly foul
side of it, but he was giving away quite a few silly fouls.
But also, that wastes so much time in that extra time where you really need to keep hold of the ball and just try and break them down. But because they would have been nervy at the end, just they want to hold on to the win. But we couldn't do it, obviously, and it ended 2-1. And I think, I don't know, 2-1. It looks a bit generous on our part, I think, in terms of if you look at the overall game. I think the second half, like you said, we were much better, but I don't think
it does.
The
issue we have is that we've gone into that first half, and I think we were very, very fortunate. It could have easily been 2 or 3-0. And that's the problem. There are games, and we've seen it this season, where that will be the case. And these good performances coming out in second half when we're 2-0 down, it is too little too late. It's very hard to turn something 2-0 around from 2-0 in the Championship.
Also,
we're leaving ourselves with so much work.
Well, also, it took a worldy goal for us to even just get our foot back in the game. Whereas, if we were able to carve open chances and look like we were going to score, get a few big chances in the games, then you'd think actually we got a good chance of getting back in. But when we're creating like 1 or 2 chances a game, that's what it feels like. We're literally creating nothing at the moment.
And I think the thing that's frustrating, especially against Derby as well, is they're almost like a slightly more. They're a more polished and better version of actually similar to our system in many ways.
Yeah,
they weren't particularly keep their foot on the ball. They would move up quite quickly, and you've only got to look at it. There is very few teams we have better possession or passing stats than, and with them we had 61% possession in that game. They were quite similar to us, so they played that very similar system, and they're normally the kind of teams that predominantly we actually thrive against, and we say the difficult ones are actually the ones who starve us of possession.
Yeah,
but we struggled more today against.
So that just proves again that we couldn't really do much when we had the ball. That's how it was. So yeah, frustrating, and I think there's certainly space for a few more heads in the door if we can get some. I think we're desperate for another midfielder to sort of give us some sort of creativity in the middle. And we all know that we need a left wing back as well, because that defence is so threadbare now, isn't it? Especially with Jones going off as well. But
do you think now we're at this stage, there is any possibility that Jones will start tinkering with formations at all to create?
I don't know if he's been so sort of set on this wing back scenario. I don't know. I think the only thing that will force him to do that is the players available. But even then, he's not had players available.
So
He's
we've
still
seen
played
it,
it.
still
Hasn't he?
plays it.
So I think even when he hasn't got the tools, he's still willing to sort of sacrifice players for positions like we said. TC's playing left wing back. He seems set on it. I'm not sure we will see him adapt it, to be honest. Which is concerning.
Yeah, I was going to say
massively
concerned,
concerning if we don't get the players in that to plug those holes for the positions they need to play in.
All I will say is that we may not need to worry, because today we found out that the man, the myth, the legend does exist, and Rissalon was on the bench.
Yeah.
So maybe in our midst we have got the hero, the saviour.
I can imagine like people in the stands seeing him warming up on the side, like, who's that?
I couldn't believe it when I saw the starting lineup. I thought, wow, maybe he is going to play for us. And
Well, he's on the bench now, so maybe
Yeah.
we'll see him get a run out.
yeah, well, yeah, I think that goes over the game quite nicely. So it's a very, very frustrating. Some small glimpses, but too little, too late is not good enough.
Yeah.
And we've got to see us taking control of games more, and not just treating everyone like we are the worst team in the league, because
Yeah.
that's kind of how it feels like we're going into games and mindsets.
Yeah.
An interesting one, I think, when it comes to positives and negatives. For a game that was very frustrating, I do think there was some positives to take out of the game, and I think there's some positive performances, probably more in spells, and the fact that some of these players weren't playing the whole game as well. Let's start on those positives, and I think the first of all, and I think he takes a lot of credit in regards to, we probably wasted the kind of performance he had in his locker today, and that was Sonny Carey, because I think he, especially in that first half, he was the only glimpse of anyone who'd pick up the ball, run, created some of the kind of areas where we were getting a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah.
It felt like one of those games. He had the kind of running of the midfield. I thought, I think it's Ozo.
Yeah.
Seemed like he had the running and the pace.
He won a couple of good free kicks in that first half.
Yeah, I kind of felt it was a really positive performance from him. I think the frustration comes that I think there was a really good performance in that game, and it, as I say, it fizzled out a little bit more second half. I still think he was trying, but
I said to you earlier, actually, imagine what he's going to be like in a team where he's got really good creative players around him. Like, all of a sudden, we're going to see him properly come to life, I think.
We're picking up the ball in that pocket. Look, we've seen our danger. I am so impressed this season how good he is at running and dribbling at players.
Good feet as well.
Yeah, like really, really dangerous. And that is so good in regards to when he gets into that pocket behind and starts running at the defence. It draws a defender out, a pass to the side, and there's a very good chance that's going to be kind of opening up those clear-cut chances, because that's what we're really struggling.
Yeah.
We can't create any clear-cut chances to save our life at the moment, and I think he is the key to that. But to allow him to do it, we've got to zip the ball round quicker. We've got to get him in those positions, and when we're just lumping it up top and it's dropping to him from a header from a big man, and then he's got to get that under control. By the time he does, it's like a high press. You're so wasting.
But we can't stretch a game, and what he does, which stretches a game, is he beats the midfield. He bypasses through the midfield. All of a sudden, you get their defenders running backwards, and like you said, that creates little channels for the strikers to run off, and all of a sudden the pitch opens up. And then actually in some of those scenarios, he'll have the players open for a pass, and he'll take a shot on, because he's created some space to actually get a shot away, and we know how good he is from long range. So he's a bloody exciting player to watch, and I think he's one that, like I said, in a better side will really shine. But even now, like in a game that's pretty devoid of any sort of excitement, he's the one that brings it, and I think that's what you get from him. He's willing to run at people, and
I stand by it. I think he's the key to us turning our season round, and in certain games I think he is such an integral part. And I noticed today instantly him being back in the starting lineup how much we miss him when he's not there. I think he's become pretty much, arguably on paper, one of our, if not our most important player. If you had said at the beginning of the season, you'd think you were going crazy, wouldn't you?
I think it's between like him and Lloyd Jones for Player of the Year so far, and I think it'll be quite a tight run that. But
so I thought really good performance, especially that first half. As I say, second half's definitely got in the game. It was a tough one because they were dropping a bit deeper. The game did turn into that kind of.
Well, he ended up dropping a bit deeper in that second half, didn't he? To get the ball.
Well, I think it felt like we had most of our strikers at the club on the pitch. But
get them all up.
So that's obviously Sonny Carey. I think another one to move on to. Credit where credit's due. One we can be critical of sometimes, and I think you've got to be positive when he's good. And mainly for that goal, TC. I thought a good performance. I thought there were still the frustrations at certain points. I thought he struggled to get into the game. He seemed a little bit fearful of running as much.
He had a couple where he got in on the wing, sort of near the edge of their box, and then he tried to take the man on and just overran it off the pitch.
Well, his success was much more about cutting in today, which is where he got his goal from. But he seemed to be struggling with that down the line, getting the ball in.
He did, but he still shows willing to do that, and especially at left wing back, where he's actually having to look. Like I said, he's got one part of his mind's on the defensive side of his game, because he knows if he leaves a massive hole there, he's got to sprint his ass back. So he did well in terms of when he was able to push forward. He's always looks dangerous, and like you said, all his joy really comes from when he cuts inside and tries to look to get the shot away, and that's how he got his goal. And what a finish that was, to be fair.
It was beautiful.
It was
just one of those.
Believe it went in. I was like, what? He scored.
Well, do you know what was so important as well? And it's a strange one. I think any goal would have lifted the mood, but whenever you have like a bit of a screamer, really good game, it lifts it even bigger. And I think it was a time where we were struggling for clear-cut chances, and it was so vital at that moment. And I thought probably then he was our most dangerous output in regards to they were panicking with him.
Well, he had his tail up, didn't he?
Yeah,
so you knew he had confidence to.
Probably his last bit really ran out of steam, didn't he? I think towards the end he was struggling a bit. But yeah, no, I thought a really positive performance. I don't think it was his absolute best over a 90.
No, but we saw an end product, which we have been desperate for from him. So,
and amazingly, and this goes to the whole team, it showed with that goal what we can do if we actually just play the ball around quickly and kind of threaten with some attacking nous. What we can actually do, because I don't
frustrating because that's in our locker.
Well, what I don't sit here and I think probably the message I do find frustrating sometimes is I think we are a team that lacks quality a lot of the time, but that doesn't mean we have no quality. And it doesn't mean we have no ability to play the ball round, because if you can in a moment, you can throughout games. And that second half kind of showed that we do have it in our locker in certain capacities, but I think it's finding the balancing act between the right players, the right performances, the right time to bring those players on and off. And the other side of it is tactically maybe realising sometimes that we've got to kind of force it upon the tactic and the system as well.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, we've definitely got enough quality players there to open up teams. It's just getting in the positions to be threatening, and that's where we've been struggling. But yeah, I think TC showed what he is capable of, and the finish. We want to see so much more of that from him, because we know he can do it. So
there's also beautiful movement, like there, dribbling to get to. It's
strong, bouncing off his man.
Really good, good. The final one, and this is. It really reminded me of I think it was his debut, of just the energy and the change in the team when he came on. And I think he had some really good parts of his game as well. It'd be Fuller.
Yeah, I mean, for his age, like, he's come on a few times this season now. I think he did against Middlesbrough. He came on and massively changed the game. And these are against teams that are really good quality championship level teams. And he's not played much first team football at all. But when he comes on, he shows no fear. He's willing to show for the ball, which is exactly what we needed. We said that we were devoid of that in the first half. He was able to drop deep, pick the ball up. He was pressing really hard. Like, there was a few moments where their defence, especially when we went 2-1.
So maybe through not knowing him as a youth product, in regards to watching games, etc., I don't think I realised till today how quick
he's lightning.
Well, he's lightning. And that's another thing that we in our team sometimes struggle with. And you saw it in there's a few examples. One where he was chasing down the ball. I couldn't believe the way he was flying across the pitch. But so on that kind of counter where he picked up the ball in the middle and was running at the player. And probably, when we look at it, he made the wrong choice. He tried to cut back inside, and he should have probably played on the overlap on the right. But as frustrating as maybe that was, I looked at it and thought, do you know what? That's probably our most clear-cut chance of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, and it kind of did come from his willingness to drop into holes, to pick up the ball in a certain space. And I just saw what he brought to the team. He was a big reason why that energy was lifted, the attacking kind of side of it. And even if it wasn't with directly saying, oh, he hit the post or he had this one-on-one or this whatever, I do think he was a really big part of that today. And I think the thing I look at is, I understand you've always got a part with any young player of wanting to ease him into the squad, not wanting to managing it in. But most performances we've seen from him are very impressive, and the ones we probably haven't are where it was at left wing back. And I think we've got to realise that's not what we want to do.
Or where he started the game, because he's had a
Yeah.
few where he had a couple where Jones actually started him, and I think he's probably actually a more of an impact sort of player in terms of even if he comes on in like at half time or whatever to change the game like he did today.
Yeah, I disagree.
Do you do?
Yeah, I think you need to see him from the start a few
Maybe.
times. And I'm not saying every game there's got to be a rotation, but you've got to look at it sometimes. We're not trying to chuck him into like a promotion contending team,
No.
etc. If you've got a talented 19-year-old, there is an argument to say if he is as talented as he's kind of showing,
Give him the
and he is
opportunity,
he is showing signs of it. I'm not saying rely on him. I think that's when you can do damage to young players. But if you've got it, go with it. Take advantage of it and bring him on a little bit more. Maybe play a risk of worst case scenario. You play him 45 minutes. He's not having the best game. You take him off.
The other thing is, like, you could argue, like, with players that young, are they going to really like be a bit rabbit in the headlights and sort of freeze a little bit? But he's actually been the one that's taken the game by the scruff of the neck and actually decided, right, I'm going to actually be the one to push us forward here. He's done it on a couple of occasions now this season, and I think you're right. I think probably he's bold enough to actually start some games, and I don't see why he couldn't.
You get 16-year-olds who start for the team.
Rooney, I know Rooney's an exceptional.
Yeah, but there is examples in the Championship as well. There's
Leicester have got a couple, Molnar and a few.
And you've got to look at them and say if they are, and I'm not saying it's to rely on them, but if they are good enough, like give them more chances, let them develop and let them flourish. Because also as well, he brings a caliber of player in regards to just his profile with that pace, with that trickiness, with
it's like a freshness with him as well, isn't it?
We struggle so much. I think even on the counter sometimes we do feel a bit sluggish when you've got a midfield of Roy Anderson's athletic. I wouldn't call him quick.
Yeah,
you've got Coventry.
They're functional. I mean, Carey's not.
Carey's not functional, but they're not like when you've got that electric, and TC is that example. We get excited when
gets bums off seats.
I think we need to see more of him. I
disagree with that, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, that's the positives. I think there were some other okay. I think there were a lot of okay performances.
We said Clark looked pretty good.
Yeah, I thought Clark definitely showed some moments, and I still think he's showing signs of that kind of just Championship quality.
A bit more quality.
Yeah, which I think we're missing. Negatives. I think there was only a few that probably stood out as really, in my opinion, two that stood out as really struggling. One who I thought there's reasons behind, but we'll go into. I think let's start with the ones who are really struggling. For me, quite an easy one. We've discussed him over and over of the fact he's not quite at the Championship standard. I thought highlighted today, Gillespie.
He's really out of his depth now. I think, and he's only being put in the team now because of the lack of options we've got at the back. I even think Jones probably knows deep down that he's not really up to it, but he's just got to put him in.
But I'd rather see. I have to admit, and I can't remember if he's even on the subs bench today. But I'd rather see Keenan Goff.
I would.
I think even I'd arguably rather see. I've seen he's just come back on Zach Mitchell.
Yeah, I would.
Because I really do. At least with them, they're young. You're developing them. I'm not saying they don't come with their own kind of bits and pieces, but for me, there's so many holes in Gillespie's game that I will give him the one credit.
Yeah,
the absolute technician, the
masterclass.
He had a very good free kick at one point. I thought we might be seeing it happen again, and he does have a memory in my mind as well of that crossfield ball for the playoff semi-final. And whenever he gets in that position and lumps it in, I just imagine it's going to happen again. So. He does bring some joy to me still as a player, I think more on a sentimental level.
It's his defensive part of the game, though, isn't it? And he's there ultimately to defend.
It's too critical at this time now in regards to being in the Championship. You have to still have, even as a sub, I think he just about passes as a squad player if we had quite a few injuries. But starting lineup, for me, and when you've got players like Adjaman going up against him, and
it's terrifying.
I
said to you before, like, when I look at the starting lineups, I always look to see if he's in the team, because if he is, I'm like, oh no, like there's definitely going to be players in like you said, Agyemang, for example, running at him, and you just think every time he's squared up, you're just waiting for him to get rinsed, and then he can win a header. Yeah, all right, he can win a header, and occasionally he will make a challenge, but it's too infrequent. His decision making's pretty poor. And he's so slow.
Do you think then with Amari Bell's injury record, especially of late, Reece Burke's injury record, and Gillespie, we're agreeing of all our defenders isn't up to standard. Do you think in the January window that's something we've maybe got to
Well, if we're looking at a left wing back, it allows someone who's playing out there to maybe drop back. I don't know. I mean,
Well, no, but I don't think we have.
no, I lose track, to be honest, because we've got so many injuries now.
Well, all our left wing back options. The only one is Amari Bell, and I think he drops it.
I would like to see a defender come. I won't lie. Like, even if it's on loan, like, get somebody in that's a bit more solid, got a bit more athleticism. Because at the moment, I just, like you said already, like, I just don't think he's up to it anymore. And we have a soft spot for him. Like, we always will, because of the stuff that he's done.
But I think you can. But you can also realise the time, and I think great examples. You look at I think the perfect example of that, and it goes to much more of a club legend status, is Paul Mullen at Wrexham. That's a great example.
Yeah.
You're the right time to shake hands and say, and as much as
he's
he
gone down
wasn't
a
happy
league,
with it,
hasn't he?
he's gone down a league, gone back on loan. He probably likelihood of him having any involvement there again.
Yeah.
That's a much more brutal decision.
Yeah.
But you have to sometimes say, and we said about it last week with the fact Curb said it as well. There's a time where you have to be ruthless. The emotions have to go to one side, and you accept that player is giving you great times.
Yeah.
But you know the time to pass on, and I think with him,
well, ultimately you become a liability in the team, and actually like we said, the goal, there's not much he could have done, but there was a lot of other times where he's just getting run ragged. And
without looking back at the replays, I think there's potentially some on the second goal, and I just thought there was loads of moments where he just, I don't know, I just saw on a defensive.
You don't feel confident at all when he's squared up, and it's a problem.
No, it is. I think the other problem as well, another one, I don't want to be too harsh on him, and I think there was definitely going into the second half a little bit more signs of some positive bits. I was shocked to see him in the starting lineup. He's going to have an assist to his name, which is quite funny. But Corey Anderson,
I think it's just what we spoke about last week.
Rinse and repeat.
I think we're just talking about the same things with him. I think he's just unfortunately just not quite up to it. And we've spoken about how we've played him and Coventry side by side today, with obviously Carey pushing forward a bit more. But as soon as that ball gets into that middle bit, and Corey gets the ball quite a bit because he's one that sits a bit deeper, he doesn't really offer much in terms of turning and moving forwards. And I think he did it a bit better in the second half. He did occasionally sort of, turned on the ball and actually drove into the space. But even then, it's like you don't feel that confident he's going to.
But everything for me with him, everything when it comes to that is slow. He doesn't take any quick passing. He's not in any way dynamic when it comes to the technical side of his game. It's backwards, it's sideways.
Yeah.
I thought his tracking on players was really
that's one of his weakest apps.
Yeah, and I think there's only so much you can do on that in regards to. Once again, I stand by it. So I don't want to just keep hitting him with the same things, but. He's a League One player currently, and I'm not sure his level goes far above that.
I was seeing like rumours that he was going to get loaned out to Wickham.
I think he's below that level.
But this is my point. Like, but if we are seeing serious rumours about him being loaned to Wickham, he's starting in games against the likes of Sheffield United and Derby.
And I know we've been critical, but I'd rather Doc.
Yeah,
and I know he's on the bench. I don't know if there's an injury. Ranking Costello, I can only assume is a resting and minutes kind of with the periods we've had coming up, and we've had go by, and what we've got kind of coming up. But yeah, for me, once again, it's another position he can't be starting for us in the Championship.
No, I agree, and like we said, again, it's an academy boy who's come through, and we're proud to like bring our academy boys through. But when we're reaching a level now where it's again becoming really detrimental to the team, and I just think. Surely Jones can see that as well, but again, I think Jones sometimes puts teams out to sort of make a point to the owners, almost to say like, these are the players I've got to work with. But then we've just spoken about two players that could have been rotated in. So yeah, I don't know.
I find it strange, but I don't want to see that, and I just still want to see Coventry ranking Costello and Perry, because I really do think that's potentially
could be good.
Yeah, it could be good. And actually, what I think we saw today, and I don't think we will see it because. Just what Jones does with Ibby and the young players, but with Ibby dropping in just behind kind of either Dykes or Lieber, and I'd be very interested to see that free midfield I've just said, but with maybe an Ibby kind of dropping in a bit deeper and being able to then link up with Carey with that pace, with that excitement.
Well, you said about maybe playing Fuller with Dykes up top or something like that. Yeah.
So I think there's maybe an exciting one there. Whether we'll see it or not, who knows? But I think looking over that, we've got a huge few days in the window. I say a few days.
We've got like a week and a half, 2 weeks. But I mean, it is a concern, and I think we've got holes that we desperately need to plug. I think if we don't, we're looking at a real slog for the rest of the season.
But I also don't think we're too far away from answering it, and I don't think
No, we're not. We're
I
not.
don't think we're a million miles away. I think there's certain positions, if you can plug that in and then get things a bit more fluid, get a few more injuries back, I do think it can be rectified quite quickly, and we can see a very different Charlton Athletic kind of coming out.
Yeah, we're essentially a few good quality players away from being actually a really solid outfit, and I think that is the frustration in a way, is that we're not far off, but we've got those holes where they are getting exploited now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final one that we debated, I would have put him in. I thought had the poorer performance noticeably.
Yeah.
You probably felt less so on it. I think just an interesting one to have a quick talk over, because for his criticism, I think, to be honest, I think there's very good reasons for it. But I thought Kane Ramsey looked really off it today, especially as it got towards the latter part of the game. He was a big part of just jumping in on tackles in the latter stages. I thought he looked very, very rusty, but that probably answers why I'm not going to be putting him in the same category of what my feelings were towards Anderson and Gillespie, because I think that is a big part of it. I think the fitness side.
I think Ramsey, you've hit the nail on the head. I think the reason he looked a bit ropey today was because he hasn't been in the team very much recently. I think he's got the rust. But what he's best at is that driving forwards. He's willing to sort of run into
when
the
we
space.
saw it, because one of the things we probably didn't discuss earlier that we should have done was he was the reason why Clark got sent off. Driving forward run.
But that's where he's at his best, isn't it?
That was a rare scenario once again of Harry Clark on the wing. Playing a ball in that was less side to side, actually a dangerous.
Well, he went for a through ball,
and Ramsey overlapping, and actually what we could kind of do, and that's where I say I think the bigger part of his probably poorer performances, I think we know the levels he can get to and how good he is.
Yeah. At the beginning of the season, well, and also last season, he was brilliant. But I think what we've sort of found with him, he's been in and out of the side a little bit this season, which has made his sort of stability in the side a bit difficult in terms of him really bedding in. We know he's got the quality to be really dangerous, and actually his sort of attacking part of his game is very good, but also he's very good at tracking back. He's got the pace to recover, and even today, to be fair, he had a few where he was able to sprint in and just get in front of his man and stuff, and he's very good at that. I think he is good at that. But like you said, towards the end of the game, he was tiring, he was losing the ball, he was a bit clumsy. So you can argue that he had one of his poorer games today. Could be down to the fact that he's just rusty.
Yeah, not going to be too critical of it. As I thought, he definitely was one of the ones I noticed more. But once again, if you're noticing a player because his standards are normally up here,
it's not bad.
He wasn't the poorest performance in the world. It just, I know where he can be on it. So, well, there we go. Another one to forget.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating. Even last week, where we got the win, but it was frustrating to watch. I think that's what is becoming a little bit difficult to watch at the moment. Is just the lack of attacking football, and I think until we fix those issues we've spoken about in terms of maybe having someone more creative in the middle, we're going to continue to see those sort of performances. Because you need the personnel to be able to change it up.
Yeah, and if you are on the optimistic side of being a Charlton fan, you could argue that second half gives us something to kind of get off. That it's not just if we had gone through two full halves of kind of the Sheffield United game, which, to be honest, even with the 9 men that we dominated statistically, a lot of those concerns were there. They were there then going into the first half of this. The second half showed some signs of maybe some glimpses of. And maybe that is also to Nathan Jones. Maybe it's a good thing for that he's realised that in the system maybe there is some ways to eat a bit more out of some players. So
the next game we've got coming up.
Well, let's go on to it. 4 days' time. What do you need when you really desperately need points?
And playing terribly.
Let's go away to the Den. Christ, a huge game. Not a place that I think we know. Historically, we've been good. Well, not a team or a place that we've historically been good at taking points. Is it the perfect game for us, mate?
I don't know. I think a derby day game is always a bit of an anomaly. Like you take it, form does go out the window in derby games, and I think it comes down to who wants it more on that day. I think we know Millwall are a physical side. We know they had. I mean, we played them at the Valley. Kramer's an absolute beast at the back.
Well, in the Valley, the game at the Valley, I played was actually one we played really well. We were actually controlling the game really well. Quite surprising, and then it was Ramsey sent off that kind of. I think if that hadn't happened, we all felt that might have been that
probably
elusive win that we've been looking for so many years.
But the Den is a different kettle of fish because you're going away from home. It's going to be hostile.
Yeah.
you're going to need to be on it 100%. They are playing well, Millwall as well. They've got a good run so far, like in the last few games. I know they lost tonight to Coventry. I think they 2-1. Did they?
Yeah, 2-1, but then they beat, before that, Watford 2-0
Yeah.
away, beat Swansea 2-1 at home, drew with Southampton away, beat Bristol City at home, drew with Ipswich. So they're getting some good points on the boards.
And I think from what I understand, like they are actually playing some good football as well, and that, you know, that's a problem for us because we're not. Yeah, and I think if they are able to get their foot on the ball and really try and dominate the game in terms of possession and sort of trying to cut us open, we're going to really need to be on it.
As I say, the positive taking into it is a derby day, and we've only got to see prime examples. You've only got to look at the Man United, Man City, where a team that are torridly out of form go into a derby day and win 3-0.
Yeah.
It is a different kettle of fish, and I think a lot of it is about managing the moments of the game where they get heated. It's taking your chances.
Yeah, nothing silly.
It's really it's taking the occasion, isn't it? And I think something in that first game that we did so well up to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe it will. Obviously, the players will know the gravity of the game. They've already played in derbies before. A lot of them, they'll know the gravity of the game for the fans and also for the club. But maybe that will give us what we need, a bit of a kick. Do you know?
Well, I think if we've talked about platforms and having won a game, and that's the platform to go, and it hasn't materialised. For me, that would be probably the ultimate platform. I'm not sure you could get any better with the history we've had. If we can get a result there,
how much of a boost would that be?
Well, if we can get a win, which I think is going to be extremely tough, albeit I don't see no team in the Championship can we not beat.
No.
But if we can, that could be literally the moment we need to release some of that pressure, get the confidence back up. The boost of morale that will give the team would be huge.
Yeah.
So. But it is going to be a horrifically tough game.
Yeah, it's not going to be a nice watch, I don't think.
No.
Especially, yeah, I mean, they're always tense, but yeah, I think it's going to be one to watch through the fingers.
Yeah. Well, let's see. As I say, I'm very, very excited about it. Very nervous at the same time, but let's see what happens. Very interested to see what kind of style of
formation and
team whether we are going to have this really almost at the Sheffield United where it's like backs up against the wall, or whether we are maybe going to show some signs of, okay, we respect you, but we are going to take the game to you as well. No idea. And I suppose some of it comes down to whether we get any other signings as well.
You never know, might have someone in before then. Yeah, let's see how it plays out.
Let's see. Let's move on to the final bit then. I will just bring up the league table. I used to enjoy this at the beginning of the season. So I'll bring that up there. It's okay. I think, look, what I still stand to this year, and I know there's a lot of negativity around recent form when you look over the last 16 games or something, it is pretty dismal. What I do look at is there are other teams that are in relative free fall. You've only got to look at West Brom, who got absolutely tanked 5-0 tonight at home. Blackburn are really struggling. Oxford, who I feel, I'm not 100% sure, but I feel they're not far off kind of getting cut away.
Yeah.
We've only got to be better than 3 teams. Now, Sheffield Wednesday,
they're gone.
I don't think they're going to catch us.
I hope not. Something's gone seriously.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that Oxford, to me, it feels like they're one of the ones there. So we've got to outperform probably Portsmouth, Blackburn. I'll take Norwich probably out of the equation.
Yeah.
Maybe West Brom, and you will have a team up above us who potentially do spiral into an awful run of form. That's what we've got to beat now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's just picking up the points it's easy to say, isn't it? And then in the Championship, even just earning a draw in the Championship is a massive achievement. So
6 wins takes us to 50, which doesn't guarantee, and that is year by year, but I think the highest someone's gone down on in the last like 6 or 7 years is like 51.
Yeah, someone posted, I think the amount of points you need to get in the last 6 or 7 seasons.
Yeah.
And I think 50 was like the max.
Yeah, most are like I think between 45 48 it's like a pretty solid kind of range to go by. So if you get to 50, there's a very good chance.
We have got some big games coming up. I know that game in hand that obviously didn't go ahead in the end. The Portsmouth game,
Oxford's game's big.
Yeah, any of the teams around us, to be honest.
But then also the games, there are other games in there, and what we have got to look at is when we look at this year. I think when you take away the form of the whole kind of scenario, we have picked up some okay results in there as well. We were 2-0 up against Blackburn.
Yeah.
Yes, we mucked it up. We got a draw against Coventry, which was really good. So there is some positive shoots to take out.
There are.
And that also is proof that I think when you look at the fixture list, I think you can easily go through that fixture list. And I found it. I did it earlier, and you go, "Oh, that's a tough game." And then you go, "Well, that's a tough game."
Yeah, they're all. Yeah.
But there'll be teams there who don't turn up in those games, and we do pick up points from people we don't expect. We picked up 3 points from Ipswich, who were out of form, and we were a bit lucky. But Sheffield United, there'll be another game like that where we get.
It's the Championship, and everyone beats everyone. And like you said, you'll be looking at those fixtures thinking, "Oh, that's a really tough game," and we'll go on and win it. So let's just see how it plays out. But I think we ultimately just have to raise our game a little bit at the moment. I think that's a big part of it. We've got to start putting in bigger performances.
I think we need to see that side of Charlton at the beginning of the season, which even when the technical quality wasn't there, the fight, the passion, the thing for fans to be proud of. Because I do feel we've lost a little bit of that. It's tailed off as it's gone, and I think the fans desperately need to see that as well.
Yeah, maybe even Jones just getting a bit of a second wind and just pumping everyone up. And actually, like you said, Millwall's probably the best possible opportunity to do that. So, yeah, that would be nice.
Or the worst.
Or the worst. It could be a miserable day or a great day or a draw. I'd take a point.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. Well, there we go. That's it for today's episode. So we'll be back on Saturday. So it's a 12:30 lunchtime kickoff on Saturday. Assuming Sky.
Yeah, we'll be on TV.
Yes, TV one. So, so we'll be recording back again Saturday night to release Sunday morning. Hope you've enjoyed, and we will see you on the next one.